We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
So, how do businesses and creators like us who did not cheat with hacks and tactics and don't want to be stuck in the content wheel of death? How do we build a modern media team and profit from our content?
How do we know? No, that's me. In this creators economy, pre-filled templates and content calendars have become the solution for those that are not willing to put in the work and build a real business. Those that get rewarded are the ones that create and control their process. I got this.
That is right. Content can be a distraction or your biggest lever. Here, you learn to develop the systems to create consistently, build trust with your audience, and get the attention of those that are willing to give you money.
Let's go. No. Go to contentisprofit.com. Get started today and join the community. I was going to do this one. I was going to be like, let's
What
go.
is happening right now?
What is happening?
You forgot how to read. You forgot the color, color coding of the roadcaster over
Challenge
here.
me. What do you want? Gong? Here we go. Boom.
I'm curious, is that a side effect of COVID?
I mean, hopefully not.
For forgetting how to read? Is that one of them?
Forgetting how to read? I know. I don't know.
Who knows? But we are back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you're listening this live right now, please drop it in the comments. Say hashtag live, or you can say I'm ready for the hashtag golden boulders. This is episode 199.
Yes.
COVID took us by surprise on 198, but guess what? Nothing can stop us. We're going to make it to 200 and beyond.
After looking at a lot of sheets, lots of pillows, watching so many shows, and just being in bed, we're back, people. We're back. We survived.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to lie. I was pretty useless.
Yeah.
My girlfriend can attest to that. She was taking care of me, which surprisingly, she's tested negative all this time.
I know.
Which is amazing, obviously.
Also, like, it probably says how weak we are, because like Katie too, like she was positive, my wife, and she was like up and running like in 2 days. And I'm like, in 2 weeks, I was like, it was a little bit of a challenge, right? But we're back. We got to celebrate that. We'll test negative. We're good to go. We got the antibodies.
I know. So let's talk a little bit about, share with me, what was it not to create in those 2 weeks? Because let me be honest, we didn't create anything. We didn't have podcast interviews, obviously not a Content is Profit, or with guests, and I didn't write anything. I didn't create anything on social media. No stories. I was totally disconnected. It was you said it pretty well the other day, like it was clouding your mind and you just couldn't do anything. I just wanted to rest, honestly.
Yeah, and same here, right? Like, I think we both were in a mental space that where it was not creative, right? I was actually sitting one of those days and I'm like, man, why is it so challenging to create, right? Or to sit and have these conversations with incredible entrepreneurs, which, you know, we had to reschedule a couple of the conversations that we had in our calendars. And I'm like, man, like it's really hard. Like, I actually got up a couple of days and sat in front of my computer to do something, and I couldn't do anything. It was just really challenging. And you know, this is why it's so important to listen to your body and staying healthy and creating those habits to make sure that you're healthy, right? Because then productivity goes down the drain. So first of all, huge shout out to our team. Shout out. What did I say?
I have a story with that word. Shout out.
No, I don't want to.
Please.
No.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Okay, but before you tell the story, I want to give a huge shout out to our team, because without them, this would have completely derailed the entire operation that we've been working so hard to build. So thank you, Jose. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Giorgio. Thank you. I mean, sometimes FONZI. Thank you, Danny.
Can we?
Yes.
There we go. One for the team. Now I'm going to share the story of the word shout out. So first of all, this story goes back to my brother's wedding. It was your wedding day. Yes, and I was doing the, what do you call it?
The toes.
I was doing the toes, right?
You're crying like a baby.
Cling. I was crying like a baby. But I started talking, and right before I started bawling my eyes out, I go and I said, huge, and I didn't say shout out. I say huge shout out. I was like, huge shout out to the DJ Uncle Tim, and everybody was like, laughing, and I kept talking, and after the toast, one of our friends, Christopher Bush, he comes and he's like,
of course,
bro, do you know that you just say shout out like just guns blazing instead of shout out when you're like calling out for somebody? I was like, dude, I had no idea that it was pronounced like that. I thought shout out was pronounced shout out. And he's like, bro, you just say you use like guns blazing in your
clearly
wedding.
I haven't learned in 6 years. So,
I know.
Anyways.
So every time now that I hear the word shout out, my mind goes back to your wedding, to that moment. I was like, dang it, I wish I would have known English then.
That's actually pretty funny.
It was funny.
Anyways, so hard to create, right? And you know, we were actually on an interview with Mitch, who's coming next Friday. Shout out to Mitch.
Go.
And that was the first piece of content that we've created, or that we, you know, were part of in the last 2 weeks.
We debated whether we were going to be in the interview or not, because we were exhausted. I mean, first, obviously, at the beginning of the week, we weren't still feeling 100%.
Yeah.
I would say we're still not 100%.
I am 102, like I'm 200%.
I feel like I'm 95%. I'm almost there. I still got like some back pain.
Whatever. I don't think that's COVID related. But anyways, so yeah, we debated. We're like, hey, are we actually going to go to that show? And we're like, in my head, like I think the decision was, let's leave it there, because then we're going to show up. Energy is going to be high, because like this is literally what we do, and we got to do it, right? So big lesson from Uncle G in one of those conferences, the 10X conference in Miami that we did, like put an event forward, put an event that kind of pulls you forward, right? And for us, publishing, that was that event. And we actually didn't have an episode scheduled for today.
That's
what
right.
happened was, like right after that conversation that lasted almost hour and a half,
we were motivated.
We're so motivated, and we're like, let's do an episode. We're back. We got to do this thing, because we got to get back on the train, right? Like we've said multiple times, the show is never going to go away. Like it might evolve, it might change, who knows?
You're stuck with us forever.
But it's not gonna, we can't stop. So I think
our goal is to have so many episodes that when you subscribe to our podcast and it downloads all the episodes, you run out of memory in your phone. That's our goal.
Wow. By the time, you should have cell phones, guys, that are gonna be able to do that, or you can, you know, download as you please on your favorite ones,
or stream them through
Spotify or Google.
Spotify sponsor us.
Literally your favorite platform. Anyways, so we were like, okay, we gotta get back on track, because I mean, it was I'm recording here. It was a nice vacation from content, but at the same time, physically, I was feeling a little depressed. Like these connections are literally what drives the business, is literally what drives what we do, is meeting these amazing people, creating connections, strategic partnerships, like opportunities, right? And I am sure, like if you have a business or you run a business, sometimes you felt that way, not only maybe not on the content creation side of things, but when opportunities are not coming your way, right? So we got to be proactive, and we have to create those opportunities moving forward. For us, our show is that opportunity creation, not only on the content side of things that does a ton of marketing for us at the front, right? But also on the back end with the relationships that we're creating. So after a little reflection, we're like, man, like we got to get this on track. And on our weekly meetings that we do it on Thursday, that was one of the items. We're like, we need to get this show on the road. And we're in this place where we might have to change a little bit of how we produce the show. Not a big deal, but
I know. I'm actually thinking, I'm like, I don't want to.
Okay.
Because it's so much, honestly, so much fun doing it 3 times a week.
Because of the connection side.
I'm not gonna, I mean, the connection side, but also at the same time, I'm like, I mean, now that I move and I'm living like 40 minutes away, the drive to do it 3 times a week, that's not going to be that much fun. But doing the show 3 times a week is fun.
It has to happen.
It has to happen.
But maybe those 2 guests and maybe us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Are we brainstorming now the show here?
I don't know. We're brainstorming live at the show.
Yeah. So anyway, so what I was trying to say, and I lost my train of thought there, Fonzie, thank you, is that we put it on the Thursday meeting, right? You know, L10 meeting, and we're like, we have to get back into producing it. And thank God we had incredible guests coming on Monday. I'm not gonna tease who that person is.
I gotta check who it is now.
Fonzie, I have no idea. But I'm like, thank God that we have a guest on the calendar, because it's another event that pulls you forward. So how to get out of the funk if you're not executing, if you're not doing stuff, put something on your calendar you have to commit to, right? And then when it comes to content creation, first off, don't stop, because if you stop, it's like working out. It's going to be really, really challenging to get back at it, right? And that way, you can actually go back into the routine. For us, it took obviously like 2 weeks. It was an external factor. We go sick, we got COVID. We're okay. We're fully recovered. We're fully tested. We're like antibodies, super healthy. Thank God. But
are you okay?
I'm very okay. Brainstorm session we have here in the thing in the comments.
What is it? The 23rd?
Yeah, you got it.
I got it.
You got it. Okay.
Now I know who's coming.
Okay, you know who's coming. Wow. So I guess my point is,
I just realized that I also messed up all this stuff in here, but it's okay.
Put something on the calendar. Put something on the calendar so it pulls you forward and you actually have to execute. And guess after that interview that we had with Mitch, then we recorded. Now we're recording this episode, which we're telling you this. Now with that, I think it's gonna be a solid episode because Fonzie was like, "What are we talking about?" I'm like, I don't know. Let's riff.
I mean, we're riffing. You were riffing about the environment and not creating content. Now the question is. Honestly, I don't know. I was about to make up a question right now.
No. But I this is kind of like what came to mind when we said, okay, let's do this episode. Let's riff. Let's see what happens, right? Yeah. First off, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's gonna come out. It has to come out, and I think we have a ton of.
Honestly, for chemistry. Us, it was about the action and start gaining the momentum again of publishing. I mean, literally, as we were doing this, I turned around and I'm like, 45 live. Like, let's go another round of 45 live.
Let's go.
Like, I miss publishing.
Should we do another 45 live?
Like, I need to push myself somehow to publish.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it doesn't come as naturally.
Yeah.
For me, I need, like you said, put something in the calendar that's gonna do it. So we brainstorm actually real quick about doing the 45 live only with a select group of people while also building the 6-figure platform.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh, what is a 6-figure platform? You may ask. Well, you're gonna know a little bit more about that in the next following days.
So on Wednesday we have this call with Mondays and Wednesdays we have this call with our mentor, one of our mentors, right? That we love dearly. Shout out to Jerry. And he asked us a question. Well, actually, Wednesday, we didn't have the call. This was on Monday. And he was like, have you guys been publishing? And we're like, we're the guys that publish, like either 45 Live or the show. Like, it never stops, right? And we're like, no, we haven't been publishing. And at that time was about a week, right? And he goes, how do you feel? Like, full therapy session in there. Yeah. And I was like, man, I honestly don't feel good, right? And it's that, right? Like, once you find how you publish and you see the results and you see like what happens after and the impact that has in your business and the impact that has in your life, right? Whenever you stop, sometimes or most of the times, you're not gonna feel okay, right? And going back to business wise, right? I go back to the experience that we had before COVID even like was the thing, right? Like when it started here in Jacksonville, all the businesses closed, and the first thing that they cut off is content, right? Is their marketing, is their message, right? So at the time, that was the perfect time for me to give him a call and be like, "How do you feel?" Right? Because same thing happened to us. Our whole pipeline of marketing, of connection, of content, of putting ideas into words, right? All that process abruptly. Shout out. That process completely stopped, and I wasn't feeling okay with it. And I think that's why we made the decision. We like leave that interview in the calendar so we can actually restart to publishing. Yeah. Some things that helped. Fonzie, what helped you? What helped you kind of move into publishing mode again?
Chicken soup.
Chicken soup for sure.
I'm telling 100%. If you are feeling under the weather, go and get some chicken soup.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, don't buy the one that is like canned. That's not gonna fulfill you. But actually go to like a Hispanic restaurant and buy some chicken soup with some lime. Yes, that is gonna help you publish. That's for sure. But in reality, right now, this week, I've been actually thinking about like, I want to write something, I want to publish something, and then I just get busy doing stuff, and then I'm like, it's too late, I'm too tired, I don't have the creative juices at the moment to do it, so I don't do anything. So I think today's interview was great because first, I was like excited about it but also at the same time, I was like a little bit scared because I was like, oh man, how are we going to do? We haven't, done any interviews or nothing in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are we actually going to, give him a
Perform,
good
yeah.
interview? Are we going to perform right in front of the camera, in front of the mic? And not to mention that my throat, it's a little raspy in there. You can tell.
Yeah.
And my throat is hurting a little bit. So I was like, oh man, like I don't want to be like coughing in the middle of the podcast, which we
happened.
didn't. Oh well,
We didn't?
Well, you were coughing all over.
I was getting
but
emotional.
I didn't.
I was not coughing. I was moving away from the mic. I was like over here.
Either way, it was great because first the guy that interviews Mitch, that he's coming next Wednesday to the podcast.
Woo.
He's absolutely amazing. And honestly, it was just a conversation, right? I think it was the perfect type of podcast for us to get back to because he didn't have anything planned or script. He's just curiosity-based conversation, which is the same type of content that we do, right? The same exact type of interviews that we do is curiosity-based. And we started talking, and it was so much fun. We were both laughing. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm so ready. And I honestly didn't think about doing episode 199 right now, but you were like, what if we do it? What if we throw an update? And guess what? If we already got the momentum going, why not keep going, right? Like, why are we going to stop it right there? So I know I am risking that my girlfriend is going to be all mad because I'm going to be late at home. But babe, I love you. I had to keep the momentum going. So I'm ready. I'm ready to start publishing again. I'm ready to get back in the Instagram stories on maybe the 45 Live, building the six-figure platform. What? And
now that we have LinkedIn Live, baby.
Yeah. LinkedIn Live. Look at that. We're accepting LinkedIn Live and we haven't even used it.
Of course we are. We're broadcasting right there right now. Shout out to LinkedIn. Thank you, President, for the approval. I know. Like everybody's like, how do I get approval? I'm like, I mean, we literally sent like 30 emails.
That's right.
So they're like, they probably got annoyed.
The only downside I will tell you is that I get tired so quickly. Like I just riff right here for like a minute and I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta catch some air.
Yeah, my mic is falling apart.
Yeah, because you're always like playing with it.
Yeah, you gotta fix it.
I'll fix it later.
Okay, I'm just gonna go. All right. So one of the topics that we talk about with Mitch that made me bring it into Content is Profit is the environment, right? It's like one of the things that was really easy after that interview was like, let's just do the show because we don't have to set up. We have like the entire equipment here, obviously, that we invested and it's helped us execute consistently for over 200 episodes. We obviously have the whole setup. We have the computers. We're like ready to rock and roll, right? So the environment was very important because if we had to add friction, setting up again and doing the whole shebang and how do we get ready for this episode and is there going to be any research? Like obviously there's some research and some things that we've done over like the last year or so that allows us to riff like this on this episode, but there's some principle behind it, which is how do I get back to publishing, right? And then we can express that. So keep in mind.
I actually remember, dude. What are you doing here? Let me do it. Okay, so this just reminds me. You're gonna have to unplug the mic and then plug it again. But this reminds me actually of a conversation that we had with Steve Larson. There you go.
Thank you.
There we go. And then we'll fix the cable. A conversation that we had with Steve Larson when we were in his mastermind, right? And he was talking about how he doesn't believe in motivation, right? That motivation is fickle. And I agree. I would agree more a few months back. Now I agree to a certain extent. I think motivation is actually somewhat important, but I think you need to understand it when you're the most motivated and leverage and act on it, right? But that being said, there's plenty of moments throughout the day that you're not going to feel motivated or throughout the week, whatever. And guess what? When you cannot rely on motivation, you can rely on environment. You can physically put yourself in an environment that is going to push you forward to either learn, produce, like create, whatever it is. And this is what you're talking about. This is what I'm relating it to at this moment, which is, well, guess what? We had 2 weeks without creating, and then all of a sudden we were thrown into the environment of creating with Mitch, right? I mean, shout out to his podcast, The Accidental Entrepreneur. Go listen, go check him out. And we were thrown into this environment, and now we're talking with him. We're having fun. Guess what? Our motivation immediately starts going up again. And when we're done with it, we're like, guess what? Let's use this and crush episode 199. We are back, baby. We're back in town.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, so I'm going to recap a little bit here as I was writing, right? Like, how do we get back to publishing? Because sometimes, like, we can go through a long period of time publishing, creating consistencies. Everything I remember, consistency creates art, authority, relevancy, and trust, which is what people need to purchase from you. So obviously, if we fall off the wagon, it's going to happen. What we just did, and it was not because we want it, but because we were sick, right? But how do we get back? And I think I love this. This is probably one of my favorite episodes.
I just gotta put this out there. The content still is going out because of the system.
Yes.
But the live
the creation
content is profit. The creation, that's what was lacking.
Yeah, clarifying all the content still goes out because of the system, which, by the way, huge shout out to Content Momentum and what we do on our team, because that's exactly why that's in place. So in case we can't produce, still content goes out, right?
That is right.
400
So if
pieces still going out.
if you want that system, if you want to maximize your effort, visibility, get in front of more opportunities by multi-purposing your content, all you got to do is slide in the DMs at BIZBROSCO on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
And we are more than happy to show you the behind the scenes, how everything works. We want to help you succeed, my friend. We want to help you and your business grow.
So going back to the recap, right? What are the three things? You know, I'm gonna unveil the third one because we haven't talked about it. But the number one is put an event in your calendar to pull you forward, right? So in our case was that interview, and then we're like, let's do it. Let's use the momentum of this execution to continue to do it. So if you're stuck, put it in the calendar, make it public, announce it that you're actually gonna do it, right? So you can actually do it. And this goes for everything, right? Either you're starting to produce or you produced and then you're restarting, right? Have the environment all set up, right? In our case, we have the studio. But if, like, for example, you're doing it at home or you have an office space to do that, make sure that environment is set up. Don't set up and do it at the same time. Maybe set up before, so that way whenever your calendar event comes on, everything is ready to go and you can actually do it without any friction, right? And number three will be trust your framework and your system. So in our case, we have a framework and a system that we follow to produce the show and to go live. So it's all literally in their bullet points, step 1, step 2, step 3. That is very simple for us to follow in case we forget, right?
Today we totally butchered.
The
intro. Yeah. But it's part of the process, right? And something that we're just going back to the conversation with Mitch, right? We were like, when we started Content is Profit, the idea was to remove the friction, right? Create these processes that would facilitate the creation of the podcast. And one of those was going live and making peace that we might mess up sometime. And that is part of the personality, right? Like now we embrace these mistakes. They're part of the brand. And guess what? We're not embarrassed anymore by it. We embrace them and they make us stronger.
Besides, how great to end the week like this, man. Like finally.
Absolutely.
Holy crap. Okay, so again, put an event in your calendar to pull you forward. That's number one. Number two, set up the environment before. So whatever you have, the execution time is frictionless. And number three, trust your framework and system. So again, if you don't have a framework or system, get on it. Like make sure that you create one.
Make sure you slide in the DMs at BIZBROSCO on Facebook and Instagram.
If we can definitely help you with that, right? If you don't have an environment, right? Send us a DM. We're happy to help. But a good example of this, have your camera set up, have your computer set up. Maybe it's your place of work. Maybe we change that location. So that way, all you got to do is like literally hit record and you off and running, and then put that event in your calendar. Make sure to announce it. Let everybody know that you're actually going to do it. So in our case was that interview. Mitch knew that we were going to show up and we had to show up. So we had to get ready. So you're going to look forward to that. So I think this is a great spot to kind of wrap up the show, unless, FONZI, you have anything else? Because if not, we're not going to have FONZI back on Monday because Matt's going to be really angry that you're not back in time.
I'm ready. I'm excited to get back episode 200. First of all, congrats to us. Let's go. High five.
Let's go.
Absolutely
High five
amazing.
To you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
listening.
Staying with us for 200 episodes. Absolutely. Whew, I'm so excited.
I know.
And I think that's it. Yeah. Let's go. I'm hungry. I'm actually pretty hungry.
I'm pretty hungry. All right. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite platform and at BIZBROSCO.
That is right. And if you found today's episode impactful, please don't forget to share with somebody else and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye, guys.